Hey friends, Mike Myers here with the Songwriting for Guitar podcast, episode number 50.
Episode number 50.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to episode number 50, which is crazy. A lot of podcasts don't actually make it to episode 50. So the fact that you're listening to this right now, this very moment, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for constantly writing reviews on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for reaching out to me via email to share about your favorite episode, talk about something that you learned from it that you're starting to apply to your songs. Share the episodes with everybody else. I always get tagged, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, because that's why we're here at episode 50. And you know what? That's why we're going to be there at episode 100, 150, 200, 300, 1,000, a trillion. Okay, before we get to a trillion, let's start at episode 50. In this episode, I want to give you a gift because it's the holiday season, and guess what? This is where things can get so crazy. Our schedules are crazy, shit hits the fan. We're trying to be creative, but it's impossible. So I want to give you 6 tips that you can use right now that will help you stay productive and creative even in this season. So it's the holiday season, which means either you're the busiest you've been all year or you're forgetting to do some things that you need to do. And for me, honestly, this is the busiest I have been all year because on top of there was a last minute brief that I had last week, I still have co-writes that are finishing up. I have my coaching business. We're moving to Nashville. And, honestly, during this process, there's so many boxes in my life right now. So I'm here filling up physical boxes as well as ticking off the boxes on my to-do list. I'm busy, but, honestly, I'm not completely overwhelmed. And I'm looking around going like, this is manageable. So I ask myself, why is what I'm doing working even during the busiest time I've ever been? And how can it help you? A great end to the year also can mean a great start to the year. And I want you to be able to keep your pace and, in a way that's manageable so you don't lose all the progress you've made, especially during those winter months, because we all know the slump that comes after the holidays. But it doesn't have to be that way this year. So honestly, it's 9:09 in the morning and I have a couple weeks until I get into a moving truck. My house is currently filled with huge ass big brown boxes. And what am I doing? I'm tuning vocals. Why? Because I'm committed to this song and we have a set timeline. So even during a crazy time like moving during the holidays too, I'm able to do it because of 6 main things. So number 1, write everything down and list it in order of importance. If you have a million things to do, don't let it fester in your mind because it's awful. Get it on paper, take a step back, and list it in order of what needs to get done first. Believe me, this will help you extremely. Number 2, make timelines and get it on the calendar. Honestly, take the things that will take the longest as well as the most important things you have and put it on the calendar first and then build around it. That is your accountability for yourself. And you got to be realistic and don't set goals that you won't be able to make. You have to be realistic. Number 3, get specific and break it into sizable chunks. Now, being realistic comes from knowing how long certain things are going to take you. The only way to know is if you start breaking down your process into steps and scheduling those steps on the calendar. Getting as specific and chunky as possible will help you do the thing. I promise it works every single time. Number 4, be accountable. Tell whoever you're working with your realistic timeline and the dates you have set for your goals. I often text my co-writers with hey, I'll send you a rough mix tomorrow. Not a text that says, hey, I'll send you something soonish. When you tell someone what you're going to do, it sticks better. Now, for those of you, if you're not working with anyone at the moment, it's important to stay accountable to yourself. What you need is an accountability partner. Try asking your friend if they'll help you out and tell them what your goals and the dates are for your project. Ask them to check in if they don't hear from you. Number 5, follow through. Don't be an asshole. In a perfect world, it goes without saying, but follow through with what you committed to. If you're having trouble getting yourself to do things on time, you're risking your reputation. If I tell an artist, I'll have this done by the end of the day, and I don't, it says to them, Mike doesn't mean what he says. It's not only my reputation on the line, but it's my future writing happiness. I'm writing with people who I want to write with in the future, so it's important to keep a great working relationship. And when writing with a bigger goal in mind, like getting into libraries or working with music supervisors, it takes accountability to a whole new level. So start practicing it now if you have big goals. Number 6, follow a daily routine and work in self-care. Now, this is far bigger than just a bullet point on a list, and we will have a future podcast on this. And if you're not already doing it, the busiest time of year is likely not the time that you should try to change everything that you're doing. Just keep in mind, you have nothing if you don't have your health. The biggest way to take care and keep taking care is to build habits. They are gratifying and they truly work. If this feels tough, it's all about the starting. That first step, starting with just one thing a day this month and see how it feels. Now, these are things that work for me and keep me going through busy times, but in the long run, you have to find what works for your life. Your music career is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So you need to keep your health and your relationships at the center of importance. And that does it for this week's episode. If you've enjoyed this 50th episode or any of our previous episodes and you haven't yet, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. This episode was edited and produced by Chris Fallius. I'm Mike Myers. Thanks for listening.